Hey folks, welcome back to Car Show and Tell. I'm Tim the Tool Man. Today, we're working on my neighbor's 2006 Toyota Corolla. Needs a new alternator, so follow along, we'll get it done. First thing you want to do when you're working on any electrical system of your car is get the battery disconnected. And the post that you want to disconnect be your negative terminal, because if you try to disconnect the positive terminal, you have your wrench on there and you should accidentally make contact with anything that's grounded, you're probably going to burn the car down. No, not really. You might, but it's going to make a lot of sparks. It's going to frighten you and you're going to go, oh my god, what did I do? So just get that terminal disconnected. Now you can touch the positive terminal and basically any other part of the car beside the negative terminal, and nothing's going to happen. The next thing that we want to do is get this belt off the alternator. So we're going to have to loosen up the tensioner, pull the belt off, and then we can go about removing the electrical connections to the alternator and then removing the fasteners that hold it into the car. I'm going to take this, you can follow along. Okay. So our tensioner is way down in here. You can access it with a breaker bar and a 19mm socket, and all you're going to do is push down. And all you're going to do is push down on here to try to take the tension off of it, so you can get enough slack to get this belt off, which I'm finding a little difficult, but there we go. We got it. We can leave that wrench on there. We're not going to need it for anything else. This is a little cover that goes over the positive terminal on the alternator. You can remove that by just sliding it forward, and it'll fall off and fall underneath the car, and you'll have to dig for it later. Now, I need a 10mm wrench to remove the nut that holds this positive terminal of the alternator. I can take that nut right off if my gloves will cooperate. We'll put that up here in the cowl so we don't lose it, even though I'm sure the new alternator came with a new one. We got our positive terminal off. And we have the wiring for our alternator field. That has to be removed. Just take a flat blade screwdriver. There's a retaining tab on this side. So hopefully we can push that tab in. I had it once. And then there we go. We can take our connector off there. And there's one more bracket on here that holds the wiring harness that runs down the air conditioning compressor. We can slide a screwdriver in between the tab that holds it on, and that should slide forward and off of that metal retainer. Now, we can't truly get our wiring harness completely off and out of the way because it's still connected to the air conditioning compressor. I mean, we could remove that from there, but I'm just going to operate like this. I think there's enough room to get it out. There's two bolts, one 12mm at the top, and there's another. Let's see, there's another one, if you can see it, down here at the bottom. I'm pointing to it. That's 14mm. You take that bolt out and take that bolt. If you can see it, how can I get it in the picture? It's hard to see, but you can see it right there. Got my finger on it. Take that one out, take the bottom one out. This should come out of here. Yeah, 12 millimeter. It's kind of difficult to fit this in here. We'll do the best we can. Get that loose. And maybe we can take this out. Oh yeah, by hand. Just like so. There we are. Got our bolt out. Now we'll move on to the bottom. Get this off here. Get my 14 millimeter socket. Reach down here. I'm gonna need a long one. Let me find a long one. There we have it. Now we loosen that bolt up. And we can probably just take that out with our fingers too. Nope. Wrong again, Tim. All right. While I do this, I'll tell you guys a little bit more about the channel. I like to think of it as the realest car channel on YouTube. Why? Because I don't have fancy cars, I don't have expensive cars. You just follow along and watch me play with my junk. Or in this case, somebody else's junk. Now that your mind's in the gutter, let's move on. See if I can. Nope. You have one of those bolts that just a pain. Yeah, it's one of those. It's really loose when I'm working with the wrench. And as soon as I try to take it out with my fingers, it doesn't want to go. Still not coming. Put that in again. There we go. Now it's coming with my fingers. It's kind of a long bolt, apparently.
Something.
There we go. Well, not too long, but long enough. This will be the fun part. It'll either come out by hand, or I'm gonna have to get fry bar and pry it out. Wiggling. There we go. It looks like we might have just enough room to get it out of here. Maybe, possibly. Hands on it. Wiggle it past everything else. Each toy. Did we get it? There we go. Okay. One thing the new alternator doesn't have is this little bracket which holds that wiring that goes down in the alternator, air conditioning compressor. So I'm going to take this one off here, put it on our replacement. That looks to be 5/16 standard sized fastener. Have to get a socket, I think. Oh, my little wrench don't want to work. Nope. Be right back. Alright, there we are. Take this off with, there we go, look, came right off. Take our bracket off, put the nut back on, because I'm sure the rebuild shop's going to want that. Yep. Good enough. That was this one. Okay. Now. That nut off the new one. Our bracket back on, winding, it's in the right direction. Not flipped around backwards. Put our nut back in place. There we go. Now we get to battle this thing back in. Remember exactly how it fit out of here. Hey.
That went in better than it came out.
And then a little easier than it came out. Just gotta get it turned the right way. Got this set on our mounting bracket. There we go. We're wiring up where it belongs. And we'll pull one of the bolts back in. I think it might be a little easier to start with our top bolt. Put that through the bracket and thread it into the top ear of the alternator. Spin that in. Not going to tighten it until I've got my bottom bolt in place where it needs to be. But I do want to turn it in most of the way, like so. A little bit of movement left. Alright, bottom ears are over the bracket where they need to be. Push my bolt through, start threading it home. Just thread it by hand. Well, trying to see if it's threading in, but it's not found the threads yet. There we have it. I can hear it squeaking through the threads on the other side, I think. Nope, I'm wrong. Now it's starting to go. Alright. Starting to thread now. I can feel it getting difficult. Get my wrench, set it to the right direction. So I got my top bolt in place, my bottom bolt in place. All I have to do now is turn it home. Might take a little while. That'll be the time to go make a cup of coffee if you want to. Now, when you're tightening these bottom bolts, keep in mind there's a separate threaded spacer in here, which is separate from the casting. It's pressed in place here, and as you tighten this bolt, it's going to come forward and snug up on the bracket that it is bolted to take up the slop. So if you start to feel a little resistance, that's normal. That's this threaded insert moving through the casting. You want to make sure you keep turning until you're sure that that bolt is tight.
Oh, that's where you're at now.
That's where I'm at right now. Just keep turning, just keep turning. Turning. That feels pretty snug to me. Alternator's not going anywhere. Nice and tight, it's not flopping around on the bracket. Now I can switch to a 12mm. And I can tighten this top bolt. Keep in mind the top bolt is threaded into an aluminum casting, so you don't want to put a whole lot of torque on there. You want it nice and snug, but you don't want to He-Man it in here and strip the aluminum threads in the alternator casing. We have a new nut on a positive terminal here. We're going to remove that, set it out of the side before we start making our electrical connections. There's that. First one we want to do is at the bottom. That's this holder that holds the wiring for our air conditioning compressor. We're going to snap that back over our little bracket that we switched from the old alternator to the new one. And pull these back through, and we're going to get our field magnet wires, our field winding wires. Reinstall that connector. Now we can take this positive connector that belongs on the positive terminal of the alternator. We can fit that back in place. And we can put our new nut on, which I'm hoping is 10 millimeter like the old one. That way I won't have to go get another wrench. Nice. Okay. It's nicely snugged onto its stud. Let me find the plastic cap. Time to go digging. Ooh. Hey. Don't get old, folks. Now all we have to do is fit it over our wiring harness a little farther forward than we want it. Pop it over here, and yeah, I think that's it. I was going to say slide it back, but I think it's on. Nope, it's not. Let me try again. Oh no, you know what? It's just a little different than the original. A little more slop in it, but I think it'll stay on there without coming off. Should be good. Okay, it's back on. That. Never took that off, never took those off. They're out of the way. Don't have any other wires that are in the direct route of the belt. So we should be able to pull our belt forward and place it over our pulley. And we have to check to make sure that our belt does not come out of alignment or off of any of the other pulleys. So I'm looking at the crank pulley. It's lined up there. It's lined up on our air conditioning compressor. It's lined up on our idler. Lined up on our alternator. I'm sorry, that's a water pump, not an idler. It's lined up on our tensioner, and it's lined up on our power steering pump. So once I verified that the belt is rerouted, lined up, and on correctly, then I'll take the wrench off our tensioner if we can. There we go. Get that out of there. The very last thing I need to do is reconnect our negative terminal. I don't have to worry about touching anything else while I do that because the body is grounded. So we won't get any fun sparks and fires. Always exciting. Get this nice and tight. There we have it. Not going anywhere. All right. Now we can start her up. See how she works. Or not. There we go. It has life. So hopefully, there you are, folks. If you need to know how to put an alternator in a Toyota Corolla, that's the way to do it. Well, hopefully you learned something today. Might have learned what to do or maybe what not to do. Either way, thanks for watching. Glad you joined us. And like, subscribe, leave a comment, all of that stuff. Alright, folks. Take care. God bless.